Hello and welcome to the first episode of British Ar5ehole In Exile's dive into the Apprentice UK, Series 19.
Now, I've watched pretty much every series of this show for the last 15 years, so when I found out that the latest series was starting this week, and now having a YouTube channel to grow, I decided to take a break from my current series, Pricks of the Year 2025, to cover some episodes of this instead, in a move that had absolutely nothing to do with relatively disappointing viewing figures so far.
So let's get right to it, with Series 19, Episode 1.
But first, a brief recap and introduction for the uninitiated to The Apprentice as a show. Here's the ultra-brief version.
Oh, groovy, smashing, yay capitalism!
And the slightly more detailed version. Each series, between 12 and 18 budding entrepreneurs, psychopaths and or delusional half-wits, submit their business proposals to this man, Sir Alan Lord Sugar of Amstradshire, who may look like a prune that's been rolled in cat hair, but unlike his apprentice hosting counterpart in the US, hasn't gone through numerous bankruptcies, and has only ever had consensual
At least to my knowledge.
Over the course of 12 weeks, they compete against each other in teams, in a series of tasks designed specifically to set them up to fail.
Why don't I have a go? Shall I have a go on it?
Don't. He is, oh my God, what a pillock.
Give them ample opportunity to inject their own idiocy into proceedings.
The issue is, we can't find the jeans.
What do you mean you can't find the jeans?
Basically, the last location, we've put the jeans down and then we've not picked them back up again.
And fall out with each other for our amusement. All the while being followed and closely observed by two of Alan Sugar's most trusty generals, occasionally giving us the feeling that we're watching an inside North Korea documentary, only with more quips.
You plucked out of the air figures, space hoppers were £2, skipping ropes were 50p, and hula hoops were £1.
And more food. At the end of each episode, one or more candidates deemed to have performed the worst during that week's task is eliminated. Or fired. Until the series culminates with the final two least worst contestants going head to head for the prize of a £250,000 investment from and 50-50 business partnership with Lord Sugar. At the end, one wins, the other loses, except when they don't. Then there's tears, celebrations and congratulations. The series ends, we invariably never hear anything from a winning candidate ever again, and we all get on with our miserable lives until the next series the following year, when the cycle begins all over again. Over the years, the show has produced many memorable TV moments.
Arctic.
Yeah, the C is missing from Arctic, so it's Arctic.
Never-ending nautical.
Yep.
The logo, when you see it,
Do not be alarmed, OK?
it was a compromise.
There's a lot of work gone into it.
I am Stuart Baggs, the brand.
As well as several memorable and noteworthy candidates, including current Sugar henchman Tim Campbell, Trey Lowe, possibly the coolest man who's ever lived, Ricky Martin, chubby Sid Vicious, Beast of Belzen Irma Grazer, and Curran.
So, who have they got lined up for this series?
The level of competitiveness I have is disgusting. I am the human equivalent of a tank.
So you're constantly getting shot at and are a tool used for invading sovereign nations, good.
I'm like a lion in the business world. Fierce, hungry.
And a target for trophy hunting American dentist, yes.
Money is what makes the world go round. My business is worth millions. What others can earn in a month, it takes me 1 hour.
Well, hang on, surely if that's true, you don't need to have come on this show.
Basically, it's the usual montage of opening WWE-style promos that I'm sure won't come back to bite any of the candidates in the arse in any way, shape or form as the series progresses. So they each hand in their business proposals, get ushered into the boardroom by the pretend receptionist, and then we're treated to some of Lord Sugar's hilarious jokes.
You look a little bit nervous. You remind me of a tank full of 18 frightened lobsters in a restaurant. And I'm after movers and shakers, and not schmoozers and fakers.
Oh.
So look, I've got a bunch of CVs here. Some of them contain more crap than the River Thames. But, so I'm looking for a Bezos rather than a bozo, if you understand what I mean.
So a complete cunt who treats their stuff like shit. I think you might be in luck this year.
We then get to learn more about one or two of the other candidates.
Emma S. I've got two Emmas here today, haven't we?
Good morning, Lord Sugar.
You like 2-hour lunch breaks?
Lazy work-shy cow.
You said you're mad as a box of frogs. What do you mean by that?
Depends in which context you take it, Lord Sugar. I mean, in business, I'm fast-moving, and in my personal life, I like to work hard, play hard.
Okay.
Wow, she sounds awful.
And Lord Sugar, if we capture a mere 0.0%, we'll hit some very impressive numbers.
Hang on, 0.0%? That's nothing, isn't it? I mean, that's the same market share I have. And trust me, if that made you rich, I wouldn't be spending my Saturday afternoons doing this shit. Also, did you spot the clever editing they did there?
Talks about hair transplants. Cut to the bald guy.
Now, before we go any further, I must confess that as someone who studied both history and politics at school, and who had way too much access to the History Channel during my formative years, I'm never too far away from making some quip or reference to some brutal and evil totalitarian regime from the 20th century when I watch TV with my family. And more often than not, that tends to be the Third Reich. But before I started this series, I had a word with myself. I said, Nathan, no, you want your review and reaction videos to be jovial and uplifting. And furthermore, as both a writer and a performer, you're far better than just making a load of gratuitous references to Hitler and the Nazis. So I made a promise to myself, and I'll make this promise to you, the viewer, that I will try and keep those to a minimum. So, with that out of the way, what's the first task?
I'm kicking things off by sending you to Austria.
Oh, for f***'s sake. Well, that resolution lasted all of 5 minutes, didn't it?
You lot will be running a tour on the glacier and will be watched over by Karen, and the rest of you will be in the forest, followed by Tim.
Hang on, a group of 20-somethings being followed through a creepy forest. Isn't that essentially the plot from the Blair Witch Project?
So yes, the two teams jet off to Austria to start planning their respective tours. The first order of business for each team is to choose a project manager. And while Team Forest doesn't seem to have any enthusiastic volunteers, on Team Glacier, it's a rather different and more competitive story.
Should we take a vote?
Let's
vote
take
to
a
a vote.
vote.
Emma?
Oh, okay, yeah, a democratic vote in Austria. That seems like a perfectly reasonable idea. I don't see too much that could go wrong with that.
To Austria now, where for the first time since the Second World War, a far-right party has come top in the country's general election.
Ah.
But anyway, Emma wins the vote and becomes project manager at the expense of Nadia, who fortunately takes it all in her stride and seems completely chill about the whole thing.
I do feel like I should have got that role as project manager. In terms of making key decisions, I'm absolutely awesome at it. Let's hope that Emma hasn't bitten off too much than she can chew.
See? No hints of bitterness or seething resentment that could cause problems later on that I could detect there.
Meanwhile, Team Forest decide on a flexible pricing structure, with a starting point of €200, roughly equivalent to the cost of 1 pint of Peroni in London, with the option of lowering the asking price over the course of a negotiation with potential customers.
Next for Anissa.
Okay, so we need a selling team and the tour team.
Decide who will tout tickets.
Who's going to tout tickets? Well, as anyone else who tried to get tickets for the Oasis reunion tour will attest, have they thought of using Ticketmaster?
And with that, each team splits in two, with one half going off to negotiate a price with the tour. And Team Forest bagging themselves an impressive reduction of over 50%. Meanwhile, Team Glacier agreed a clear negotiation strategy before going in.
Johnny, I'd like you to start off, as you speak German.
100%.
And then Amber Rose and Liam, I want you to build more rapport with the client.
So yes, charm offensive, build rapport, and ideally don't go charging in with numbers. Got it.
If we stick to building that rapport with the client before talking about numbers, they'll want to help us for sure.
Yeah, just to double check everyone's clear on this, establish relationship, friendly, don't mention price until later on, right?
Hallo, wie geht's?
Hi.
Ik heiße Johnny. Ik woon in Kent, in de nähe London. Wo wohnst du?
I'm directly here from the area.
Wunderbar.
Ah, see? It's working a treat so far then.
So how much would you usually charge per person?
70 euro is the price.
Oh.
Their plan was to build rapport, charm the lady. Well, other than Johnny blurting out wunderbar, I didn't hear any charm because Fred opened his mouth and asked her, how much do you want for your tickets? I mean, they had a plan. Why didn't they stick to it?
Actually, I approve of this. I've always loathed small talk, particularly with strangers. So that's why I've always favoured the more direct and to the point approach, as this footage of me from a few weeks ago clearly shows. Hello, I'm Dr. Baker, if you'd like to take a seat. Oh, it's right cold outside today, isn't it? Sorry about the wait. Have you been waiting long? How are you today? It's just we've been right busy this... I have a giant oozing pustule on the tip of my bell end. Okay, if you'd like to pop your trousers over there and we'll take a look at the little fella.
So with the tour is dealt with, let's check in on the sales teams. And how's Master Salesman Dean?
I am confident in my sales techniques. I can sell anything.
Getting along.
Tomorrow, we're holding a tour. It's for electric bikes. Is that something you'd be interested in?
No, thank you.
Nothing? You're welcome.
Okay, so no success yet, but you know how it is. Sometimes even the very best take time to, fully get going. So we'll check back in on him once he's fully got into his stride.
Meanwhile, on Team Glacier, with the strategy of hassling and trying to extort the tourists not working, they call a conflab, agree a new price, and Nadia remains as zen and magnanimous as always.
I mean, what is going on? How can we possibly sell when we don't even have the basics right? This is why I wanted to be project manager.
While back on Team Forest...
Oh, good God, no.
Back in Innsbruck, Team Glacier's new sales strategy begins bearing fruit.
We're taking you at the glacier.
Is that a euphemism?
How does that sound?
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll bet you're in, you dirty boy.
And all this leads to a boost in team morale and harmony.
Nadia, you cut me up at the end. I was ready to close it.
I got my hand out. Did you put your hand out?
I closed both.
I disagree with that because 99% of the conversation was led by me building a relationship. It's almost a little bit disrespectful for what we're trying to do.
I didn't say that you didn't lead it. I said I closed it.
Yeah.
Ah, Nadia. She could charm the birds out of the flight path of an approaching jet engine, that one.
Meanwhile, Team Forest, having made no sales, also have a strategic rethink.
Target specific customers.
Customers.
Try not to target elderly people. You've got to be physically fit to be able to ride these bikes.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Let's go.
Right, so everyone clear on that, yeah? Don't bother targeting elderly people for this physically demanding tour.
Hi, guys. Hi, hello. You speak English? What? Are you local?
No, from Denmark. Well, yes, actually. Yesterday, my father, he's 97 years old.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Tomorrow, we have a tour, mountain e-biking. Is that something you'd be open to doing tomorrow?
It's a bit too fast for my father.
Let's just move on, I think.
Oh, well, don't worry. Maybe you'll have better luck with that coach tour of wheelchair users over there.
So, after more disagreement within each team and whatever the fuck this is, We return to Team Forest just in time for the finest business masterclass of this century so far.
We're going to even do yodeling. I'm going to do a special performance. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You can't come yodeling with Kia again.
100 euros.
100 euros. Yeah.
All right. No, I didn't.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, if this were me, I'm not sure I'd have used the yodeling or, if I'm honest, my company and personality as selling points, but, you know, fair enough, so far so good.
So the only thing that's letting you down right now is price? I guess, yeah. Can we agree on a rock, paper, scissors? 50 if you win, 70 if I win.
Ah yes, the old rock, paper, scissors technique. I remember this being covered extensively when I did my business studies GCSE.
And not only does he lose,
rock, paper, scissors, shoot!
but the woman he just sold a ticket to for €100 sees the whole thing, complains, and has to be placated with a significant further discount to stop her returning her ticket and demanding a full refund.
Appreciate that totally. We'll be totally honest with you. It was a deal or no deal situation.
A deal or no deal situation. Yes, there was a sinister beardy man looming over my shoulder who made me do it. Yeah, unfortunately for Keir here, he was apparently unaware that there is a legal precedent that he could have invoked in order to talk his way out of this situation, as demonstrated here by Jurgen Klopp in this archived footage I've uncovered.
Well, you're in the big leagues now.
How was your vacation, sir? Oh, I needed one.
With your 10% loyalty program discount, that's $225 for the night.
Not bad.
$155 for the night.
Hold up. How?
It's easy when you know where to look.
Trivago is my secret tactic.
Skipping forward, both teams are busy planning their tours.
Aim of this tour is fun. Facts are good, but we don't want to bombard them
No,
with
no,
facts.
for sure.
So I think
one
like
or
a
two.
few, one or two.
Less is more sometimes. 100%.
Yeah, facts, schmacks. Just wing it, it'll be fine.
While back on the sales team,
So you actually get like a honey experience.
Is that a euphemism?
Is that something that'd be interested to you?
No.
Okay, no worries.
Frigid.
eventually we arrive at the big day, and there's just enough time in the morning for a sales report with Team Forest. How did they do in the end?
I'm dying to know, how did you guys get on?
Project Manager, Anissa.
In the end, we had a pretty successful afternoon. We managed to, really turn it around. So we finished on 6 sales.
Oh.
I'm extremely disappointed. They only sold 6 tickets, so now we're at a loss. That's completely unacceptable.
Yeah, getting such poor sales and operating at a huge loss despite the sheer number of advantages and resources available to you. I'm genuinely struggling to think what sort of laughable figure would even be able to do that, and how anyone in their right mind could ever take such a person seriously ever again.
If you like your steak, you'll absolutely love Trump Steaks. Treat yourself to the very, very best life has to offer. And as a gift, Trump Steaks are the best you can give.
The team approached every single person, used every sales tactic that we had in our books. Like, it was a tough game out there, and yeah.
Yeah, elderly people, disabled people, people who couldn't speak English, hell, even dead people. We literally approached everyone.
But what about Team Glacier?
So all tickets sold. Oh, wow.
How much did you guys sell the tickets for?
At the end of the day, it was more important as time was escaping to get the sales in.
Yeah, I don't see it so much as how much did we sell the tickets for, but rather how much good karma did we put into the world, and how many friends did we make along the way? Because I think we can all agree that's where the true wealth lies. And before we go on, I'd just like to dedicate this video to Emma's memory, who shortly after arriving back in the UK from Austria was eaten alive when a furious Nadia detached her own jaw and swallowed her whole.
Meanwhile, back on Team Forest,
I will have to switch teams because I'd said that I was going to do some yodeling.
What?
Why did you promise to yodel?
Hang on, why are you all complaining? I mean, if Keir's agreed to do the yodeling, that means one of you now doesn't have to do it. In fact, I'll go further. I'd say this might be the most noble self-sacrifice ever made by a British man in mainland Europe.
At this point, half of each team goes off to secure additional items to flog to the tourists, while the other half begin their tours. First up, Team Glacier.
Hello everyone, you have made it up to one of the highlights of today's tour.
A geography lesson.
I'm going to give you a few facts about this incredible piece of infrastructure.
I'm not sure that could be considered infrastructure as such. It's more a sort of metal plank that's been dumped on top of a mountain.
At this point, the team go into tour guide mode, putting all those hours research to use and wowing the customers with their extensive local knowledge. Among the priceless nuggets of specialist information provided by the team, we learned that the plank they're standing on was designed by some guy from somewhere near here.
It's designed by local architects from the nearby town, which is called, remind me, sorry.
The Wye Valley.
No, the town, Innsbruck. There we go.
Wherever here is, that the Dolomites themselves are sort of vaguely in one of those directions or other.
In which direction are the Dolomites actually?
So, I believe they are that way, but I'm not 100% sure.
And that they are most definitely in the mountains.
We're not 100% sure what direction Dolomites are, but what we can tell you, wherever you look, it's mountains.
They've really focused on making this a fun tour, but to the detriment of the fact...
Hang on, I'm pretty sure I've seen her before somewhere.
They couldn't even tell them where the Dolomites were.
Yep, it's Electra King, the twisted, villainous temptress from The World Is Not Enough. Meanwhile, back on Team Glacier.
Straight into the commission side.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Mate, trust me, just give her whatever she wants.
How about us taking a 65% commission on every sale that we sell?
Salon owner, Nadia.
Sorry, 65. It's too much.
Mate, forget commission, think of your family.
I actually would say 10% would be good for me.
That doesn't really make sense for us. How about the kind of 38% mark?
Sorry, no.
They'll only be able to identify you by your dental records.
Maximum 15.
25%? Is that a clause?
No. Final after the 20%.
Right. It's a deal.
20%. Okay.
Well, I guess lucky for him, Nadia doesn't yet feel bold enough to kill in front of witnesses. We also learn in that clip that apparently she's a hairdresser. I'm putting my background in journalism to good use. I've managed to uncover the following footage of the day-to-day goings-on at her salon.
Back on the other team.
Oh, shite. Well, that shut them up at least.
I'm loving angels instead. And oh, does anyone know the song?
No. Contrary to what their fondness for yodeling would have you believe, turns out the Austrians have taste.
Despite the faux pas of lowering the tone by introducing Robbie Williams into the mix, the customers and the candidates seem to be having a whale of a time. And it's not long before this naturally draws the ire of Electra King.
This is meant to be a factual guided tour, but the last stop was chaos. Frederick was rolling around on the floor doing snow angels and Liam was doing a snowball fight. I mean, it's not very guided or professional.
Yes, there should only be serious and professional snow angels on this tour, crafted clinically and in total silence.
Mid-afternoon. While Emma's team get a taste for schnapps.
Oh, it's strong. That's good.
Of course, yes. If all else fails, just get everybody pissed.
Before giving their guests a honey masterclass.
The enzymes at work dry the nectar from 80% water content to 20%.
Ugh, I hate bees and wasps. Just watching this is making my skin crawl.
How do bees mate?
Well, when a mummy bee and a daddy bee love each other very much...
Die Drohnen, was noch kommen? So the queen flies really high, and then the male bees that follow her will be able to fertilize her, and that could be 7 or 8 male bees.
7 or 8 of them mating with her at the same time?
Yeah, I seem to remember reading a similar story in Slash's autobiography a few years ago.
We should go. Several bees are stinging me.
Meanwhile, the forest tour is wrapping up joyously with some more yodeling and the barbecuing and subsequent consumption of some turds. And back at the lodge, the tourists are asked for their feedback.
How would you rate it out of 10?
Oh, now remember, they speak German here, so if they answer 9, it's not necessarily a good thing.
11.
Phew! Anyway, now time for a wholesome lecture from the team about bees.
Once upon a time, we had a small bee called Bella. Watching Bella is a group of male bees and thought, wow, she is so beautiful, I want to mate with her.
Oh, careful, mate. Hashtag me too, remember? Or should I say, hashtag bee2.
80% water, then it comes out as 20% water, 80% nectar.
And that's what creates your honey.
Yeah.
So yeah, any questions?
So with both tours complete, extras sold, and credit for winning the task / blame for losing the task preemptively taken and distributed, it's time to head back to London to find out which team won and which candidate will be the first to leave. In the boardroom, the first to come under fire is Nadia.
Around for 5 hours, making 0 decisions.
Sorry, what? First say was at 3 o'clock.
Can I just add to that? Sorry, I appreciate everyone speaking, but there were countless occasions where Nadia just absolutely steamrolled at the end of a pitch.
You wanted to keep her Von Trapp shut then, did you?
Could say that.
Anyway, you went off to talk to the tour.
What I would say is that we wanted the tour to be fun and exciting. You know, I got the karaoke out. I really tried to engage all of our guests. Didn't quite catch on the way I wanted it to.
I wouldn't give up your day job.
Yeah, introducing Angels by Robbie Williams is the quickest way to ruin any karaoke session. Or anything, in fact.
Keir, you're the only Keir that didn't want to become the PM, you know.
Yeah, this political satire isn't as easy as it looks, is it, Alan?
I've been on multiple tours and I knew I had to step up. And also, ultimately, this is a profit and loss task. So I knew the strategy was to maximize sales and minimize costs.
Got it. So Anissa's primary goal as project manager was to maximize sales, minimize costs. Understood.
A few moments later.
The low ticket sales meant an actual loss of €166.
Oof. Yeah, not good. But you never know. After all, this is a BBC show. And was it not another BBC legend who famously philosophized?
Every loser wins.
Yeah, so once we found out, we had the phone call between the teams, but I asked them how they did, and they sold 0 tickets, which I was very disappointed by.
Right, how long did it take you before you sold the first? About 6 hours.
6 hours?
Yeah. Well, you know, these post-Brexit queues at the Port of Dover are having an effect on supply chains.
Which I wasn't happy about.
Paper, scissors, whose brainstorm was that then?
That certainly wasn't mine. Yeah, that was myself. Instead of losing the sale, I went for the price that I originally wanted and the price that he was comfortable paying as a way of hopefully at least getting that ticket.
You might be able to play a game of rock, paper, fired.
Yeah, this wordplay isn't as easy as it looks, is it, Alan?
They were happy, I understand. Very happy, very good, very good.
Well, yeah. They got a fun day out for less than the cost price. I bet they were fucking delighted.
When it came to ticket sales, commission on schnapps, photos, they made €914.50.
Right. Any refunds?
Well, they didn't ask for any.
Yeah, I'm not fucking surprised. I imagine anyone who dares ask Nadia for a refund ends up like that poor sod in the opening sequence of Silent Hill. Hell, Britain's only remaining eunuchs are all blokes who didn't give her a tip after she cut their hair.
The Glacier team has won. Right, okay. So, I've got a great house for you. There'll be a welcome drink there.
Ah, the old Michael Barrymore line. Oh look, there's even a swimming pool.
So while the winning team celebrate, for the losing team, it's off to the Bridge Cafe for a cup of tea and an argument.
The fact that Keir made 2 sales which were below the price that we paid for the tickets, I think is unforgivable. I sold the most from the team, so to say that I was to blame for the lack of selling, you were about as motivational as a pillow.
Ugh, Now there's a put down that only someone in their 20s could have come up with. Apologies to any kids watching for now putting a downer on your future, but as those of us in our 30s will all attest, pillows are very motivational. Going to bed, we live for that shit.
So, on the theme of that famous movie, there's a little song in it which talks about do, re, mi, and the problem is that there's no do for me in this task.
Jesus. That metaphor was so stretched and tortured, I'm amazed Amnesty International didn't get involved.
I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, but I think I was extremely persistent throughout the task in trying to get in at least
You sold
one sale.
one ticket, Malika.
Well, yeah, but very persistently, like.
And what of sales wizard Dean?
I am confident in my sales techniques. I can sell anything.
How many tickets did he sell in the end? Most of them, I'd imagine.
Emma, you didn't sell any tickets, did you?
I didn't, but then I was...
And Dean, neither did you?
No.
Oh.
Kia, you sold 3 tickets.
Correct.
2 of them below cost, right? And this rock, paper, scissors nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what you apply in business.
Yeah, that was pretty unprofessional. Next time you should consider a more serious and grown-up negotiation strategy such as conkers or 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a thumb war instead.
So, after more arguing and finger-pointing, Lord Sugar concludes that the failure of the task lies with the sales team. So while the others are spared and sent back to the house, the aforementioned sales team are kept back, and at least one of them will be for the chop.
OK, so look, Dean, go and sit over there next to Lisa.
Oh, he's making them sit in a boy-girl, boy-girl, boy-girl arrangement. So you just know they've been incredibly naughty.
The bottom line is, this is where the schnitzel really hits the fan.
Lol. Get it? Because they were in Austria?
Emma, defend yourself to me. Tell me why I shouldn't fire you.
I literally gave my all to this task. I'm constantly positive, always thriving, trying to get the best result as a team. And yeah, I literally gave it my all.
Yeah, I gave it my all, and the end result were a net loss of around €200. So that's why I deserve to remain in the process.
Didn't sell anything, did you?
Technically, no.
But Lord Sugar, I put me heart and soul into them no sales.
Lord Sugar, the reason you shouldn't get rid of me is because from a sales perspective, I generated the most revenue when it came to ticket sales. If we hadn't got sales, well then no one would have come to the tour.
So we if you're losing money?
My new game is Trump, the game. Trump, the game, where you deal for everything you've ever wanted to own. Because it's not whether you win or lose, it's whether you win. Yes! Play Trump, the game, from Milton Bradley. I think you'll like it.
You might have a bunch of fuckwits elect you into high office one day.
I know I'm a good businesswoman and I'm a great leader, and I knew what we had to do to win the task.
Well, why didn't you do it then?
From every decision I made, I was strategic about it, and I adapted to the situation.
Yep, she improvised, she adapted, but to the inevitable chagrin of Bear Grylls, she didn't overcome.
At this point, Sir Alan gives a monologue on how he respects people who put themselves forward to lead in the opening task, and decides to spare Anissa on that basis. And it's at this point that we get our first look at some of the candidates' worried, please don't fire me faces, including Carlo's sleep with one eye open motherfucker, Kier's stop picking on me or I'm telling teacher on you, and Emma's woman who's walked into a room that someone's just farted in. And in the end...
It is with regret. You're fired.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity.
It's Emma who's the first to go, and she takes the traditional taxi ride of shame and abject failure.
Lord Sugar's absolutely made a mistake.
You'll live to regret this!
And, as always, the footage cuts before the taxi driver inevitably begins initiating small talk and unsolicitedly volunteering his colourful views on the topic of immigration. Meanwhile, the rest are sent back to the house for a joyous reunion with the others and live to fight another day.
Basically said, like, he respects people who put themselves out there. Yeah. He doesn't like people who hide.
Yeah, fuck you, Anne Frank.
And there's a sentence I hope never gets taken out of context. And with that, the episode reaches its conclusion. Although we do get a preview of next week's episode, in which the teams will be tasked with creating their own virtual pop star. And if the trailer is anything to go by, it looks set to summarise almost all of the reasons I lost my passion for music and completely vindicate my decision to walk away from it 5 years ago.
So, that's it. I'll be back with new content as and when I have it, but in the meantime, feel free to peruse what I've already got on the channel. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell, tell all your mates, etc. I may be a relative novice to this YouTube stuff, but I'm already painfully aware that trying to get a channel off the ground is an absolute bastard. So any help you lot can give me would be much appreciated.
You may be interested to know that I'm also on Instagram, and despite Elon Musk's best efforts, I'm still knocking around on the 4chan-esque hellscape formerly known as Twitter, and I shall put the links in the description.
So, I shall sod off for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all again very soon.